There are moments in life when fear does not simply knock at the door of our hearts. It storms in, taking over every breath and every thought. Yet within the darkest corners of that fear, courage is quietly born. This is the story of a boy named Nico, a boy once mocked for being timid, who discovered the strength that had been hidden inside him all along. His journey shows us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to move forward, despite it. Nico was a young boy living in a small village nestled at the foot of towering mountains. From afar, those peaks looked majestic, yet to Nico they were shadows that loomed like silent judges of his weakness. Unlike the other children, who climbed the hills laughing, Nico would stay behind, hesitating, feeling his legs tremble at the thought of the unknown. The villagers often called him Coward Nico. Even his friends teased him relentlessly. Afraid of his own shadow, they would laugh. Every time, Nico's face would burn with shame, but his lips remained sealed. Deep inside, he hated his fear, yet he felt powerless to fight it. One afternoon, while Nico was sitting beneath an old tree, staring at the ground, a storm suddenly swept through the village. The sky darkened, the wind howled, and rain slashed across rooftops. Thunder roared like an angry beast. When the storm finally subsided, chaos followed. Houses damaged, crops ruined, and cries echoing through the village. Among those cries was one that froze Nico's heart. His little sister, Lyra, was missing. The villagers searched desperately. Lyra had last been seen near the forest before the storm. But as the hours passed, no one dared venture deep into the woods. The trees, twisted and old, had long been feared. Shadows moved strangely there, and rumors told of spirits lurking. Nico's parents clung to each other, weeping. "My daughter, my Lyra," his mother sobbed. Nico felt something heavy pressing on his chest. Fear whispered in his ear, "You cannot go. You'll get lost. You'll fail." But then another voice rose within him, faint yet fierce. "If you do nothing, your sister will never come back." He clenched his fists, his trembling body suddenly standing tall. "I'll find her," Nico declared, his voice breaking but steady. The villagers turned to him, stunned into silence. For a boy once mocked as a coward, this moment was unimaginable. Yet, under the flickering light of oil lamps, Nico's eyes gleamed with a new fire. And so Nico stepped into the night. The forest swallowed him whole. Darkness wrapped around him, the air thick and damp. Every step crunched on wet leaves, every sound made his heart pound faster. A wolf's distant howl sent shivers through his spine. The shadows seemed alive, whispering his name, mocking him. "Coward Nico, coward Nico." His hands shook as he gripped his small oil lamp. Sweat dripped down his temples. Fear gnawed at him with every breath. But then, through the storm of doubt, he saw her face in his mind. Lyra, smiling at him with her innocent eyes. That vision gave him strength. He stumbled, scraping his knee on a jagged rock. Pain shot up his leg, warm blood trickling down. He wanted to stop, he wanted to cry, but he bit his lip, forcing himself forward. Then he heard it. A faint, broken cry carried through the wind. "Brother, Nico," his heart leapt. It was Lyra. But between them lay a deep ravine. A giant tree, fallen across like a narrow bridge, was the only way. The abyss below seemed endless, black and hungry. Nico's knees shook as he stepped toward the tree. His breath came fast, his chest tight. Tears welled in his eyes. "I can't do this." And then he whispered to himself, "Courage is not being fearless. Courage is moving forward, even when fear grips you." He placed his trembling hands on the trunk and began to cross. Step by step, the wind howled, tugging at his clothes. Lightning flashed, revealing the drop beneath. At one moment, his foot slipped. He clung desperately, bark cutting into his palm, blood streaking his hand. His heart thundered louder than the storm, but he did not let go. Finally, his feet touched the other side. He gasped, tears spilling down his face, but his chest burned with triumph. There, beneath a tree, curled up and shivering, was Lyra. Her eyes widened when she saw him. "Nico," she cried, rushing into his arms. He held her tightly, relief washing over him. Together, they made their way back through the forest. The path seemed less terrifying now. The trees no longer whispered. Instead, they stood like silent witnesses to his courage. When they emerged from the woods, dawn was breaking. Villagers ran forward, shouting in joy. Nico's parents fell to their knees, hugging their children, tears flowing freely. The village, once full of laughter at his expense, now looked at Nico with awe. No longer coward Nico, He had become the boy who faced the shadows and returned with light. But Nico's story did not end there. From that day on, he trained himself. He climbed mountains, swam rivers, and returned to the forest, not to prove himself to others, but to strengthen the courage he had discovered within. The fear never fully disappeared, but he learned to walk beside it. Over time, he became someone the village children looked up to. They would gather around as he told them stories, not of monsters or shadows, but of the bravery hidden in every trembling heart. Lyra, always by his side, would smile proudly, and Nico would smile too, remembering the night he discovered that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to keep moving despite it. Fear is a shadow, vast and intimidating, yet like all shadows, it exists only because there is light. Nico's journey reminds us that beyond every trembling step lies the sunrise of our own strength. And once we dare to move forward, fear loses its power, leaving only the brilliance of courage.